then. So yeah, and I do have more warp gates coming in. Not using my robo facility for anything else, which was kind of a mistake on my part, though. Well, it will be later on, but for right now it kind of makes sense. You know, I'm planning to go for Blink Stalker anyway. It doesn't matter. Do have the one Zealot out, and it looks like a couple Stalkers going to come try and clean up what I did here, but I wish you could select warp gates when you're watching a replay from single-person mode. But anyway, so I do have the Stalker that's popped out, and I'm going to be warping in more, and I have all my army coming across because I decided it's time to do an attack. See, do I end up taking out any of his Stalkers? No, I guess I don't. But anyway, I saw with his observer he does not have an expansion, which means I know I am already economically ahead. So I think I just decide to sit here. Nope, never mind. It looks like I actually don't remember what I decided to here, but as soon as I see what it is, I will hopefully remember and explain it. Forge is up, and it looks like I will hopefully start ground weapons fairly soon. And oh yeah, what I decided to do here is, well, first of all, I take out of this pylon, which just guess why not. But I decide to warp up my guys here after I've checked to make sure there's no rich mineral field expansion or gold mineral expansion. I don't even know what they call it these days. But anyway, so yeah, I got my observer out here. Go out to see what they've got here. I see that he has an immortal, so I know he's ahead of me tech-wise, and I should, and then no, I throw it on my observer. Later on, I do start throwing out my own immortals, though. But at this point, I can tell, his army is not as big as mine. Even though I can't see full scout, I know he's gone for tech, and he's devoted to defenses. So I know my army is likely bigger than his, or if nothing else, I can definitely make it bigger within a few seconds, thanks to my increased economy. A bit of a blink fail right there, so I have to wait for it to cool down again. But I am going to blink onto here in just a moment, taking these assimilators, and again, in good old, PseudoAuto fashion, not putting any guys on it until 20 minutes into, after doing it. And here we go, I got my Blink Stalkers out here. I'm going to sit them here and not doing anything with them again. Are you seeing a pattern here, people? But yeah, so, and I do see these troops, and I see them move out, so at this point I believe, let me see, what do I do at this point? Let's see what I do. Looks like I go here, I see that there's the immortal, and it looks like, oh yeah, I go ahead and I try and snipe this immortal, which I am successful in doing it, taking a bit of damage on one of my stalkers, not a huge deal, re-rallying my army together, and I see in the corner of my vision, the rest of his army has been built up, and it looks like I'm just now supply blocked, which doesn't help me at this point. I do have a few more Zealots. Zealots are mainly to counter the Immortals. They can do well against Stalkers, actually, because Stalkers have lower DPS than the Zealots do. So I see the positioning of his troops. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get it so I can, if we engage, I have this advantage here. Plus, I do have my proxy pylon. So if nothing else, I can warp in additional troops, which obviously I do, in fact. And I see, now that those troops are warped in, I see the positioning of his army. I see his army is smaller, but he does have the Immortals, which does give him a tech advantage, plus more sentries. So he's going to get more Guardian Shield and have a couple Zealots sitting and doing nothing. Continuing to work on my economy at this point. Well, at this point I need to keep on devoting to troops, because at this point, which I should do. I should have gotten charge at this point, because that would have helped me, and there I go, I start getting charge. There's my immortal I was talking about, and it looks like I'm going to catch his army actually separated. Let's see if this helps me or hurts me. Looks like I'm going to get some free shots off earlier on, and he's going to get off a lot of force fields on me, which are great force fields on his part, but I do have the blink, which I believe I use any second now, any second now. And there's the blink, so I use that to go ahead and to try and do more damage to his army. The mistake I make here, though, is I continue pushing out, which, it looks like I should be fine, but the thing is I needed more Immortals, and I was not working on them. I didn't even have Robo Facility hotkeyed, which was not a good thing on my part. Definitely want to have that hotkeyed so you can keep on constantly pumping out Immortals or Colossus, or whatever it is you need to be pumping out. And let's see how many. So I have 80 and 100 chrono boosts, so being very efficient with my chrono boost, obviously. Yeah, you never want to have 100 on one of your Nexuses. You've lost if you have 100 on your Nexuses and you're playing a better player. Of course, I am not a better player myself, so that doesn't matter. But anyway, so I have my observer here, going to continue seeing that he's pumping out even more Immortals, and I know that at this point I try and do another attack, I believe. Yeah. Thinking I can see, since I have the better economy, I'm thinking I can, do more damage. The thing is, I don't have enough gateways up, so I'm not able to pump out troops fast enough. And Zealot legs almost done. Let me see if I actually wait for the Zealot legs or if I move out before. I need to get the Zealots out in front of my army too. It's another thing. A lot of people you hear about Protoss balls. Well, that came out wrong. But anyway, a ball of Protoss troops, let us say. And actually, let me check upgrades real quick. It's 1-1 one upgrade, 1 armor. 1 attack upgrade for both players. I do see his army moving up. But what I was going to say about the Protoss army positioning is a lot of people, that you think, okay, you can only have your army and, balled up like this. And yes, your Zealots can get around the Stalkers because of their charge, but if you put them out in front, then, they charge even sooner, and then, of course, they're taking all the damage while your Stalkers, which can do more damage. And here I got caught off guard. I was not paying attention at this point. And I decide to fall back. No, never mind. I go ahead and I try and attack, but he has way more immortals than me. He has the major tech advantage. I do have a great concave, though. Does put up a ton of... Actually, those are my force fields, if I remember correctly, which were kind of stupid to put up in retrospect. But I did, and I'm putting on even more gateways and warp gates. I do have a couple more immortals coming out, so that's going to give me a bit of advantage. And I do scout out this Nexus, so I decide, nuh-uh, he's not going to do that. So what you want to do, if you got Blink early on, by the way, Blink, a lot of people don't get Blink just because, they don't want to have to deal with it. They want to treat them as, like Dragoons from StarCraft 1, where, of course, they didn't have the Blink ability. But, if you get, it's like Charge on Zealots, except, obviously takes a lot more micro. But it's practically essential. If it really pays for itself. I don't remember exactly how much it costs, but it's And I decided to take this group of Stalkers, Blink in. I'm going to do more damage again, which I know I was just talking about. But anyway, so I'm going to do this, take out the probe, and here I get a bit lucky. He starts transferring in all his probes. Let's see if I actually take him out. I actually managed to. He cancels the Nexus. Never mind. But I do manage to take out a couple probes. Going to see his whole army coming in here, and I am going to be able to get out with all my Stalkers. Which was very lucky of me. I'm not sure, that was, just pure, well, I wouldn't say luck, but good reactions there from me, I suppose. And now his army's completely out of position, so I decide to go in for an attack at this point. He's going to take out some of his pylons, try and supply block and take out some of his, knock out some of his buildings if I can. I don't know how successful I am with that. Let's see. Looks like I didn't actually manage to bring anything offline. Never mind, I bring offline a bunch of his buildings, but it looks like, let's see, he does have the better force field, completely cutting my army in half. Let's see if I use the Blink and try to make up for this with that. No, it looks like I'm not, so, really, I should have used Blink. I should have, should have used more force fields, really, because that's what ended up being me here, and he's going to have a clear victory with all his immortals in the back. I do have immortals myself, but they are poorly positioned. They're targeting the Zealots instead of the armored units, which are the other immortals, and the Stalkers, so at this point I am going to back out, hopefully, fairly soon, even though I do have a fair amount of troops, but they're just way out of position, just bad positioning on my part, more than anything else. But I do have a whole ton of Stalkers moving in, blinking up to try and get them a little closer to my army. And it looks like I am going to try and repel his push with a lot more troops. And I actually think I could have taken this. I had enough. So no, never mind. He has four immortals. Could have taken most of this. So see, does he actually? He does have Blink himself now. So you can see just how useful it is. I do have the high yield, so I am going to now run all the way back here, and now I'm going to rally myself back to my front door. He has not scouted this at this point, and I was looking kind of for that, blur, which would indicate an observer, which is one thing that my opponent didn't do very well. Obviously, since I don't have full vision, I can't confirm this 100%. But he didn't really scout. You saw me earlier. I checked to see if I'm still checking here to see if he has this base up, which I see just is putting it up. And I checked, earlier for the high yield, which, scouting is very important, especially, it's important in any matchup, but PvP, as I mentioned, you can, cancel buildings, trick people with stuff, and, that can really, get you screwed over if you, see something and, you think your opponent's doing one thing and they end up doing the other. And here I do see the positioning of his army. At this point, my army is about the same size as his, but in any case, neither one of us wants to commit. He wants to be able to hold his expansion. Though at this point, my opponent is behind. Let me check his name again, because I keep on just saying Versick. You start saying Versick now, because that's what his name is. And I do have him serve with my army, just for, for the hell of it, and, for scouting, over high grounds and whatnot, to be able to grab that sooner. And then I have my observer right at his entrance, which is really stupid positioning. I later end up moving it to center of map, which is what I needed to do. As you can see, I've pretty much fully saturated because I took all my probes from my main and put them onto here. It shows I could have expanded earlier. If typically you can take your third before you should be able to take your third far before your as Protoss before your first base mines out completely. And again, not using the chrono boost, which is an oh so wonderful ability, but that's what you get for not having any APM. There's my amazing 67 APM. I've actually, on my game, I'm supposed to have 98, but from what I've heard from other people, from my replays I've watched, my best ever was 98, but still not very high. Anyway, let's look at the production tab. Well,